our work, because there are things that can get us off track very easily, especially in this day and age. There are a lot of distractions. And also, we know that what we feed our conscious mind will go filter straight through into a subconscious mind, which filters straight through into our actions. And so if we're allowing people to put fear, rubbish, non-facts, irrelevant facts into our minds, and they are filtering into our subconscious, we get confused. And I think a lot of people have gone through a state of confusion because we really have had big change in the world for the last couple of years. It's time to regroup. It's time to get part of this community. It's time to uplift each other, and it's time to work on our heads. And then we can get out of our head into our heart and do things really specially. But also, we need to look at our health when we are going to look at our mindset. There are things that can throw our thinking out, our feeling out, our love out, if we don't feel really good. And so I see that we have Dr. André on the line, and I am just going to ask André if she will unmute herself and talk to us, just chat to us what she feels could be a good add-on to helping our minds.
Hi, Nola. Thanks for that. Thanks,
there
everyone.
You are.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I'm going to talk about something that I find interesting, and I hope that it will interest you, intrigue you, surprise you. We'll see. One of the things that I've been really interested in over the last 2 years is the idea of collateral damage. You know, the focus has been so strongly on the virus and the prevention of infection and the treatment of infection and all that kind of stuff. But the methods that have been used to tackle that problem have had all sorts of other effects. And those are what I call collateral. And so there are two things I want to tell you about that have recently interested me. They've been around for a long time, but people are now stepping back and taking note of things and starting to look at them and seeing whether they're very significant. The first one is that quite a lot of people have said to me things like, "Cheapers, I don't know what's going on. I seem not to be as sharp as I feel I should be. I'm forgetting words. I can't recall a word when I want to use it." Now, I say people around me have been saying that. I have to confess that I've had that feeling. I've sort of wondered what's going on. I just haven't felt as sharp as I usually do. And I felt that I've been dropping balls. And so I went on a hunt to see if this was a real thing. Because one of my pet hates is when people say maybe it's early onset, or maybe I'm starting to get Alzheimer's. I really am very distressed when people say that to me, and I point out to them that, you know, that's kind of a talk about feeding your mind something that you don't want to, that won't serve you. I went on a search, and I have discovered that this poor memory, this forgetfulness, is in fact a very real issue, and it's a consequence of lockdown. They found that that your brain simply doesn't work as well when you aren't interacting in the world. And we've been forced into confined spaces and taking on a sort of gray scale rather than full technicolor in terms of our experiences, of our interpersonal relationships and so on. And that has very definitely and very significantly affected our brains and our capacity to put down memories. So our short-term memory has been effectively. Now, that is comforting on the one hand, very, very alarming on the other hand, and we need to pay attention to that. The other thing that has been suggested as collateral damage, and now the numbers are very clear, and that is that the incidence of depression has skyrocketed. And I saw today, in fact, for the first time, that in Israel, they have done a survey of men, as it turns out, but men over the age of 40 and upwards, and they have found that 40% of them have identifiable signs of depression. 40% of the adult Israeli population is at some level depressed. Well, that's really bad news. And so I want to suggest that the reason for those things is actually the underlying cause is stress. We have been put in situations beyond our control that have been, frankly, hugely stressful. And when you take our situation here in those of us who are in KZN, add to the lockdown stress, the fear and anxiety that has come along with that, add to that riots, add to that floods, add to that any number of things, and stress has been an amazingly significant factor in our lives. And the research shows that stress has a very negative impact on our brains and therefore our mindsets. So what are some of the things? The list is very long, but here are a few that I think are quite interesting. The first thing is that stress actually shrinks our brains. Well, some of us might have brain to spare, but I think most of us don't, and a shrinking brain is definitely not a great idea. And when your brain shrinks, you become forgetful and stupid. Now, that is written in an article I read. You become forgetful and stupid. Well, we don't need that. We've got enough stupid, I'm willing to suggest. One of the things that happens is that it breaks, well, doesn't break down, but it makes the blood-brain barrier leaky. And so toxins that are normally kept out of the brain get into the brain. And so free radicals are caused that actually kill brain cells. Well, kill some brain cells, and I guess you get forgetful and stupid. The other thing that happens is that it hampers the clearing out of toxins. Something that is essential for that process is that we sleep. And when we are very stressed, sleep doesn't come easily. And when it does, it's fitful rather than a really deep, restful sleep. And so the housekeeping that should be taking place when we are asleep doesn't happen all that effectively. And you get clogged brains. And where I want to finish that list, because I want to pick up from that, is that it contributes to inflammation, and inflammation of the whole body, but particularly in the brain, is what leads to depression. So we have a situation where we probably are all suffering from stress. It has become chronic, and therefore we are all living in a highly inflamed state, and therefore our brains are not functioning as well as they should. And for some of us, that is expressing itself as depression. I'm not talking about deep clinical depression. I'm talking about the kind of stuff we say when we're talking to our friends. Jeepers, I'm just feeling so depressed. I'm not talking about people who can't even wake up and get out of bed, because that might need other intervention, although what I'm going to suggest would certainly help it along. But I'm sure you hear virtually on a daily basis people who are saying they just aren't managing their lives well, they're really feeling quite depressed, or they use similar words. And we if you look at what the recommendations are to reduce inflammation, and if it is the underlying cause, you reduce the inflammation, your brain is more able to do the things it ought to do, make memories, put down new circuits, clean up the mess, and not drink anymore, rebuild. I mean, they now know that we can generate new neurons if everything is in place to make that possible. Then we will be better equipped to use our brains and to control our mindset and basically live better lives. So the recommendations are that you get enough sleep, that you get enough exercise, that you make sure that you bring into your world things that feed your soul, shall we say. Now, one of the suggestions that is very popular is that you learn to meditate, because when you learn to meditate, you actually learn to harness your thoughts and to prevent them from running rampant and taking you down all sorts of rabbit holes which don't serve you. And then the fourth thing is to eat a wholesome diet. Now, none of that is new. You can look at any health condition and you'll say those are the four things you need to put in place. In other words, you have to do something about your lifestyle, because these things are all lifestyle diseases. And so one of the things that we can do to help people is to describe to them what a wholesome diet should look like, and then take them one step further to say, in fact, with the best will in the world, it's very difficult to eat like that. And so we need to be aware of the fact that we are almost certainly running on empty or running short of essential nutrients. And when you are in a particularly stressed situation, as we have all been in the last couple of years, then you might well need to top it up. And that's where we can help with the products that we all use and love and believe work. So what are the foods you need to eat? Well, you're going to recognize this. You can probably write them down yourself before I even mention them. One is a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, particularly the brightly colored ones, because they are the source of the antioxidants, which are the free radicals, which, if they are present in your brain, kill brain cells. Okay, so we need the fruits and vegetables. We need to eat fatty fish. Why? Because fatty fish is a source of omega-3 oils. And we all know by now that those are anti-inflammatory foods. We also probably all know, if we look at our own eating habits, that very few of us, if any, in this country at any rate, get enough omega-3 oils from our diet. It is probably one of the supplements that's a no-brainer, shall we say. And there's a strong recommendation that we drink green tea, which we have in our Neolife tea. And of course, one can drink other green teas, which is a good thing. And then the fourth recommendation, very strong, is that we take note of the health of our gut, because we know it's proven over and over again that the gut and the brain are closely related, and the gut and our inflammatory response is closely related, and the gut and our immunity is closely related. So depending on what your focus is at the time, the gut is often called the second brain, the gut is called the main seat of your immunity, etc., etc. So those are things we have to take note of and try and fix in our diets. Well, eating a diet rich in antioxidants requires, I don't know, the last time I looked, it said 9 to 15 different servings a day of brightly colored fruits and vegetables. I've known that for 30 years, and I still almost never achieve that based on the way in which we can eat. So even although I know it, and even although I'm very conscious of how we eat, I don't achieve that. So my solution for me and my family and anyone that is willing to listen is take carotenoid complex. It's so important. And if it prevents your brain from shrinking, is it worth it? What's too expensive for preventing a shrinking brain? You can decide. I mean, I would spend my last dollar to prevent a shrinking brain, I think, because for me, that just sounds too terrible for words. So there we have the carotenoid complex, and then the other phytodefensive people can bring that into the equation as well. I've already alluded to the fatty fish. Omega-3 is a no-brainer. We have to have that. And I don't think anyone actually gets enough of it, as I've already said. And you will talk to people and they all say they're taking it. You will find out where they get it. And then you can have the conversation about the quality of the product. And if you are taking an omega, which is not guaranteed to be pure of toxins, then your poor brain, which is leaky because of the stress, is being fed toxins while you think you're feeding it the good stuff. So it's a very important decision that you make as to what omega you take. Then there are a whole slew of vitamins and minerals that are absolutely vital to a good, healthy brain. Vitamin B comes to mind. So we can supply vitamin B. Vitamin C is important. Vitamin D is essential. Magnesium is essential. Calcium is essential. Amino acids are essential. So the obvious choice, in my view, is Pro-Vitality. So if anybody says, I'm feeling depressed, I think you could safely say to them, I've got something that is worth trying. Try it for a month. And if you don't feel any improvement, then you can make your decision. But I have supplied many people with just that product. And before the month is up, they come to me and they say they cannot believe the difference. It is a product that works. And if the product works, then people recognize that it works. They like feeling better and they will come back to you. And the other lesson that we have to teach people is that it's not like medication where you treat the symptoms go away and you stop the treatment. It has to become a lifestyle thing, because if you're short of those nutrients today and adding them to your intake fixes the problem, then you'll be short of them next week if you stop taking it. It's got to become part of the way in which you feed your body. And then acidophilus. I would suggest to anybody who is complaining of depression, anxiety, brain fog, all those things, just do yourself a favor and take a course of acidophilus and see if it makes the difference. And for many people, just getting their gut bacteria happy and healthy again, their lives turn around. So that's Pro-Vitality, that's acidophilus, which will cover the vitamins and minerals at a reasonable level. If someone needs to add stuff, one can add a B and so on. And then amino acids are super important. You need those amino acids to build the proteins, to build the hormones and all that sort of stuff. And that's one of our shakes. And so that's the breakfast pack, basically. And that will help you bring your weight under control and so on. And then if people are really battling with their memory issues and need assistance because there are deadlines that have to be met or exams that have to be written, then mind enhancement would almost certainly help. And aloe juice is really quite a good something to take in, like shot glasses of it, just to calm yourself in the heat of the moment. So those are just a few of our supplements that people can take that I know have made a huge difference in my world. I know many people that I've recommended them to, who have subsequently continued taking them because they can't live without them. And we can start doing something about turning this brain fog around, dealing with pushing back against the collateral damage that we've all suffered from over the last 2 years. And everybody out there needs this information and needs this help. So it's our job now to tell them the story and offer them a solution. And what I keep on reminding myself is that our job is to be the messenger, and their job is to decide what they're going to do with the information. We can't force people to do something they don't want to do, and we must detach ourselves from the outcome, because it can get it's quite a downer when you speak to people and they say, no, thank you. But on the other hand, when you know you've done your job, which is to be the messenger, and they must then run with it or not, it becomes easier because you've got a story to tell the story and let it take its course from there. Tell the story and you haven't done your job, and you've done other people a disservice because there's someone out there waiting to hear what you have to say. That's it, Nola, and everybody else. Thank you.